Hi, here is Markku Wilenius, and I'm going to talk to you about the future of successful organization. Now, over the period of last 20 years, I've done a lot of research, and this research has focused to some extent to the question, what makes businesses, all kinds of organizations successful? What are those kind of features, habits, patterns of behavior that outcompete the others and build the inner success code to the company? And this research has taken me many parts of the world where I have seen kind of a new ideas arising how the organizations of the future will operate. They are in a way breaking the old code of capitalist companies, those companies that only look for the best of their shareholders and leave the other critical parts of the society left to less attention. So these type of the companies are not just taking care of what are the other three critical stakeholders. They actually build an idea of democratic companies, of those type of the companies that truly want to contribute to the environment, be they society, be they customers, be they their own employees, or other important stakeholders. And today, as we know, we need to be care much more about our planet, so about the sustainability, but we also need to care about our own human capital, who we are as people. How can we live harmonious way in this very dynamic environment that requires us a lot? We need to be building all the time new competencies. We need to understand the changing needs of the customer in a much better way than before, and so forth and so forth. So there is a lot of these new requirements that comes from the fact that the environment in which the organizations and corporates operate are changing rapidly. And in my search of what are those critical elements that builds viable long-term successes, I have come to the conclusion that they are particularly those three aspects, three ways of seeing those critical elements of the company success that comes to play when this type of sustainable success is being created. The first one has to do with how do we actually increases the amount of the energy and creativity inside the company. And it looks like those organizations and companies that understand that this can only be done if autonomous teams, usually on the size of the 10 to 12 people, are formed, and they are given a full authority over their own doings. It seems like this type of the diversity that is built inside those teams creates an environment in which each other creativity can be fully utilized, while at the same time it's not too large to make it too complicated and indeed too complex. Now, one critical element of this type of the team-based organizations is that there can be no taboos. There can be no issues that cannot be dealt with. Now, most of the companies and organizations come to the point where they start to be very much fear-driven. There is a much of the manipulation, there is a much of the hiding of the information and so forth. But by building these kind of teams that work on the basis that all things needs to be discussed, shy away from these type of loopholes that many other organizations are bound to experience. The second aspect of the successful organization seems to be that they build a very effective communication systems. Now, the problem, again, with the so-called average or normal organization is that a lot of communication is either inadequate or it is focused for wrong people. For instance, that there's information that is spread throughout the organization, even if only some people in that organization can really make use of that information. But even greater problem is that there is not sufficient amount of high quality communication. In fact, I would claim that most of the problems that any organization or any business come up with has to do with a bad communication. And once the channels of the communication is really well thought of, and that there are different channels that have been used in such a way that people really have the feeling that they really know what's going on, what particularly those type of the information that bears the relevance to their own work. If that can be matched, then that means that that there is no lack of a communication and the information is used effectively inside the organization. The third aspect, which is critical to the successful organizations, is this. Then who are the ones that are able to actually make decisions? Now, these companies that are successful and shy away from this old, very hierarchical system where only guys that are certain level, usually on the top, have the mandate to decide and execute. They start to see that actually it's not about the position which decides who is gonna be the one whose voice is to be listened, but instead it's all about the knowledge and the information. So those who have the best knowledge and information, those have a voice when it comes to decide in that one specific area of the business or the organization what to do next. So in other words, the company makes it possible that regardless what position or what age you are in that organization, you have a voice once it touches your own expertise. So everybody in the company basically has the potential to influence. Now, all these three aspects, creating creativity through the team building, having efficient communication systems, and dismantle hierarchies in terms of the decision making in the organizations. Those three aspects are the critical, because once you master these three aspects, you're gonna see that your business is gonna flourish for the long term. If it's a public organization, then it's the public function there. And your employees are very happy about the way the company operates, so they are committed, they are engaged. And thirdly, that they also see that the customers are loyal, they come back to them, and they enhance the business with them. All this might sound something that many companies and organizations are taking care of, but I can guarantee that we are only beginning of that. Only the best organizations are actually focusing on these three aspects. But those who are, they are doing a marvelous job. I guarantee that. So, this was my kind of a secret code for successful business running of the organization or any type of the corporate.